Hi guys, it's Kelly here and I'm back with another video for honeybee stamps. You may notice things look a little different here. And that's because I accidentally deleted the first part of this video. I tried very, very hard to recover it and was unable to. So the piece part where I show you all of the products that I'm using was gone. Could I have refilmed it? Absolutely. Did I have time to do that? Absolutely not. So here we are. I'm just going to tell you what I'm using. So this is the Lovely Layers Rose. I'm also using the Lovely Layers Bugs. What is that? The Spring Vine Layering Dies, it would help if I had the cards in front of me. I'll just mention stuff as we're going through, and it'll always be linked below in YouTube. So I wanted to concentrate on doing one technique. So rather than have the focus be on the coloring, which is typically what I do in my videos, I decided that I was going to cut them out of colored cardstock. So the Lovely Layers Rose does have quite a few layers. As you can see here, I think ultimately I ended up using 6 different colors of cardstock, and one of them I used twice, and just that light one right there. I think that's Blush. I think it's Blush from Spellbinders. But I used that one for the lightest 2 layers, and then I just colored it with a marker to get it to be the color I needed. And then I'm also using the Floral Frame 3D embossing folder. This is the die for that. Originally I thought that I was just going to use it plain, and so I die cut it out that way. I ended up embossing it, and we'll see that towards the end. I'm also using the Lovely Layers Cupcakes and More. I wasn't sure if I was going to do like the hard scoop, I guess you call it, hard scoop ice cream, or the soft serve ice cream. I ended up using the soft serve ice cream, but either one of them would have worked. This is the Lovely Layers Bow and Bow. I'm just using the bow, actually. So instead of it being holiday or Christmas, I'm actually going to use it for more of like a kind of Valentine's Day. And I chose to cut this out of different colored teal cardstocks. Cardstocks? Did I say that right? Who knows? I don't know. I'm very out of sorts. Mostly because once our children are home, I try very hard to have like all of my editing done and my voiceovers completed before my children come home. Today I was not successful with that, so we had a little bit of chaos while like right before, like my husband was running around doing a bunch of stuff while I was trying to like get dinner in the oven. And so then I was like, hey, I have like this 20-minute voiceover that I need to do. And so, I mean, if you have had a family with small children, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Like from the time they come home, it's just wild. Add into that it's been snowing here for 2 days. They actually canceled school today. It's been snowing pretty steadily. I think they said we were going to get 8 to 12 inches. I can tell you we definitely at least got 8. I have shoveled the deck myself twice for the dogs to go outside and go potty. And my husband had to get up and snowplow the driveway even before work this morning. And then my son is doing the snowplowing of the driveway now. Well, he might be finishing up, but that's what he was doing, and that was part of. There was like an issue with little turny lever thing. I don't know how to work a snowblower. I know I live in Ohio and I probably should, but I am inept at that, and very blessed that I have a husband and a son who take care of it. So now once I have everything cut out, I'm just going to go through and kind of build everything up. Some of them I added a little bit of shading to, some of them I did not. So I added shading when I needed to close a gap between the two. So like here for this bow, my mid-tone teal is a little too dark for my lightest color teal. So in order to bridge that gap, I am going to use my markers to add a little bit of shading and dimension. And that will help to kind of bring them together. Adding that little bit of darkness in the center where the bow would be gathered is going to bring it together a little better. And then here, I thought with the little heart, we could almost do it like almost like a little candy box. I hope that makes sense. Where like you have the little ribbon or whatever that goes over the top of it, and then it has the cute little bow. So that was my thought process there in doing those. And like I said, originally I thought I was going to do it that way, but then it ended up being kind of plain. So I decided to change it, which you'll see that in just a little bit here. And then the other ones, the flower, I pretty much just built up all like just the way that it was. That I think is probably one of the only things I didn't add shading to, and I'm not coloring it like I normally would anyway. I'm pretty much just adding very minimal shading, like I said, just to kind of bridge the gap in between the colors. But that rose has so many different colors already. I didn't really feel like it needed anything from me to bring it all together. For the butterfly, I'm doing the same thing, adding the same shading that I did to the bow, like with those two colors, just to give it a little bit of dimension. And then I'm going to go over, that part is done. That I mean, there really isn't going to be that much to that card. And then we're going to go over to building the other pieces. So yeah, it has been, it has snowed a lot. My wonderful husband yesterday, if you caught the live, it was raining. So for like what Mother Nature is doing, I do not know. So it was raining like for 2 days, and then so it was in the 40s, and then all the snow melted. Like we still had a pretty good amount of snow, and then all the snow melted. And for 1 day, the snow was melted. And then at like 4 o'clock, it turned to snow. And it's been snowing ever since. I think we finally got a reprieve around today around like 3 p.m. And then it's supposed to start snowing again. So it's been, I already have driving anxiety. I don't do well in the snow. My husband was very kind yesterday and was like, hey, I'll leave work and pick up the little jelly bean so that way you don't have to go out in the snow and get her. Today I did go pick her up, but thankfully, because it had been, snowing and stuff for quite some time, they had already like plowed some and salted. And I know, like, depending upon where you live, that will like shut down your whole world, especially like if you're in the South. But here we just plow through it. They send out little warnings that say like, don't go out unless it's an emergency. And all of us are just like, we're got to go to the store or got to go to work or got to go wherever. So I was very grateful that he saved me from that yesterday. But the kids did have off school today. So here, just layering these up. And like I said, for the cardstock, I'll link everything below. I'm pretty sure this is a combination of several different companies. I was not looking at the company. I was literally just looking at the shade so that I could layer up my little rose. I chose to use my rose because I have my color theory class coming up. Which, speaking of, it starts this coming Tuesday. So if you haven't signed up for it yet, it is sponsored by Honeybee. We are using Honeybee products, but you can use whatever you have. It's a technique-based class just to teach you about color theory. And so in that class, one of the things I've used was the Lovely Layers tulips, and one of the participants had sent me a message and was like, hey, I don't have the tulips. What else could I use? And so I gave her a couple of suggestions, and the rose being one of them. And she was like, I have that. That's what I'm going to go with. And so then it was just like stuck in my head. It was stuck in my head. And I was like, well, I haven't used that one in a while. I'll pull that one out. And so then, knowing like what colors I had available to me here, this is where I'm coloring that lighter cardstock with a alcohol marker, and that's just gonna give me that in-between shade. Honestly, truthfully, if it was up to me, I probably would not ever use colored cardstock. I would just, ink blend them or color them with my markers. But time isn't always on my side for that. And I understand that other people maybe are not colorists, or other people maybe don't have the ability to do that, whether it be like they don't financially, they don't have alcohol markers, or they don't maybe have the dexterity to do that. So every once in a while, I do like to show that there is a way to use these with just very minimal shading and still get a result that you could be very happy with. So here I'm coloring my chocolate ice cream. I don't know if you're team vanilla or team chocolate. I am team chocolate. Like if I had to have a choice, chocolate is where it's at. But I actually ended up using both, and then I really liked it, like doing the vanilla and then the chocolate, and then the bottom of the mug is like strawberry, because it gave it like a very Neapolitan feel, which I don't even know, like I don't know how much they sell of that anymore. I know my parents used to buy it because like between our family there was like not everybody liked certain things. But I'm fairly sure that my mother got the vanilla all to herself, that the rest of us were fighting over the strawberry and the chocolate. But yeah, so I am team chocolate. So here I was like, do I want to do the hard and then the soft serve? And then I didn't like that. So I decided to just do both soft serves and kind of stack them on top of each other. One is sufficient. I already had that going on, and I had cut the chocolate sprinkles, which, by the way, another faux pas of mine. This is a very professional video. Very professional video. I forgot to film the taping of the like the brown cardstocks. Browns, the neutral cardstocks. So here I have them put together, and then I was happy with the way that looked. Put my little cherry on top and my straw inside my shake, and I was good with that. So for the technique, this isn't, you've probably seen this before. I thought it would be fun to kind of do like a simple technique that you could do. So this is the one technique for our 3D embossing folders or regular embossing folders. I think that they would work for both, honestly, that you can do. It's the same technique. We're just going to get 3 different looks by kind of switching up one thing, which I'm a big fan of, because I like to be able to stretch my supplies. And techniques allow me to do that, to get different looks, by just changing the way that, we apply things or the way that we approach things. So here, like I said, just finishing up putting all of this together. And for the little straw, I'm just putting a little bit of glue and tucking it behind. You could like cut a little slit. I've done that before, where you could tuck the straw in so it would actually look like it was sitting inside the ice cream. Same thing with the cherry. I didn't do that this time around, but that is an option. And then here what I'm doing is just doing the little dots for the sprinkles. I chose to do them chocolate just to kind of repeat the same colors I have going on. You may have noticed we're repeating the same colors for all 3 cards, and that's because I like for them to be matchy-matchy in my picture. In my pictures, I like matchy-matchy photos. So here's our embossing folders. I am using the Soiree, the Floral Heart, and the Spring Medley. And so I'm kind of picking and choosing what I'm gonna do here. I will say that Honeybee always kind of has a like retiring sale section, and they have recently added some other sale items that aren't retiring. The embossing folders are on that list. So are a lot of their gems, which I think are the cat's pajamas. I love their gems. And there's a lot of other things in there that have just a slightly discounted price, some stamps and things like that. So if you have something on your wish list, maybe you pop over and check to see if it is that on sale price. I think that I appreciate when I can get anything on sale, so I do like to mention it. So here you might have seen how we originally glued that heart or that bow and the like little sash, and then I removed it. It did tear my paper, but I'm not worried about it because I am going to put the bow in the same exact place, so nobody is going to see that it was torn. And then I glued that heart down onto some craft cardstock. So I'm actually going to get like 2 different colored cardstocks. So I'm still going to get the look of like that little candy holder with like within the thing. I'm just going to get a little bit more detail. So I'm just going to run these through like normal. I have the Spellbinders Platinum 6. And so with the universal plate system, it's an A plate, the folder with the paper, and then the D plate, D like David, the adapter plate. And that's what I run mine through with. And then now that we have all 3 of them done, we are going to look at the technique. Here, I'm just double checking. I'm just double checking. I love a dry fit. I can't help it. So here's all we're going to do with this first one. We're going to take our white. This is a white pigment ink, so it is more opaque. And we are just going to swipe it over the top. We're not pushing down. We're not adding a bunch of pressure. We're just swiping it over, and you can see we're turning the paper as well so that we can get it for a bunch of different angles. I also have good success with almost inking it up like a stamp. So tapping it, and then sometimes I will tap it and give it like a little twist, and that helps add even more ink. And then you can see like it was great before. Now all of that detail is brilliant. This one is probably my favorite one. And this is using the white pigment ink on the embossed paper, but using pattern paper. So I pulled this out of one of the honeybee pattern paper packs. I embossed it, and now I'm adding that white over top of it. So we have that beautiful pattern in the background, and then all of that like white detail with the florals. And I think it's beautiful. I think it's such a fun way to really stretch that pattern paper. This one, originally I had intended to do teal, and the switch for this one is using a metallic ink pad, which, by the way, I'm using pigment inks, but you don't have to. You can use any kind of inks, but because I was doing a lighter over a darker, the pigment inks make more sense because they are more opaque. But here I did it over the teal, and I didn't love it for my card design here. I'm just going to set it aside and use it for a different product. I'm certainly not going to throw it away. But I did the same embossing and then with white, and then went in with the gold, and then I like that much better. So we have like that subtle metallic in the background, and we are still getting that beautiful 3D embossing look. So again, same technique, just a little switch up with each one. So one, we have just our regular, colored cardstock. One, we have the pattern paper, and the other one we switch up the ink pad for a metallic. And then I'm just going to start putting these together. You do want to give them a little bit of dry time, but because we're just kind of swiping them over the top, it's not a ton of dry time. I just kind of set them aside while I did like my sentiments and stuff, and then that was enough time. So the base piece behind this is from the spring layering frames, and I just cut that out of white. I will say that your pattern paper, if it's a thinner pattern paper, you do want to make sure that you're gentle with it, because any cardstock, once it's embossed, does become a little bit more fragile, because, we've kind of messed with the fibers of the paper, but especially the pattern paper can become really quite frail. So just make sure that you're not like over handling it. And also make sure that you're trimming it beforehand. If you do not have a guillotine trimmer, make sure you trim it to the size that you want it to be, because if you go to cut it with like a slide trimmer, you will have a high chance of ripping your paper, which we don't want. So putting these together, some of them I popped up, some of them I didn't. And to me, that just, offers kind of like a nice variety. I lost out on the teal background. So in order to bring in the teal for this card, I just did a rectangle matted with a white rectangle. And then I also brought in that teal border to, bring in that extra color. I really like the way that this one came out. I feel like that little milkshake ice cream, I think it's such a fun little focal point. My little diamond tips did hang off, so I just trimmed those off my little square, and then we're going to get into the sentiments. So you may notice here that there are some helping hands. This is how you know that I was running behind, because my kids are already home, because here she is helping me with my items. So originally I did the heat embossing on teal on craft and the gold on the darker brown. I did not love the craft, so I actually ended up doing it again onto the teal. So I have 2 teal sentiments and 1 gold on brown. And these are from the birthday set. Again, I will link them below. And we treated with our anti-static tool. She's helping me stamp them down. We're using those same pigment inks that we used to do the original technique with the embossing folders. And then she is helping me stamp them down. I told her she couldn't help with this part because those heat tools can get very hot. So she can't play with those. And then I sprinkled on just some gold embossing powder, heat set that, and then some white detail embossing powder for the other 2 sentiments, and heat set those as well. I'm going to cut them out with my coordinating die cuts, and then they just went right onto the card because honestly, I'm a little pressed for time. I went ahead and did that. This one, it felt a little like it needed something, so I just used a scrap piece of paper right up in the corner, and then I traced that with my white gel pen to create a little frame on either side. And you know me, I do love a frame job. I do. I love a mat. I love for things to be framed in. I like those clean lines. So for me, that kind of really brought the whole thing together. And then I did add some white highlights to my cherries, my straw. I added it to the little milkshake cup. I also added some detail to my butterfly, highlights to my roses, and then some clear shimmer to all of the things because we need the shimmers. And then here is a last look. This is the white on colored cardstock, the white on pattern paper, and then the gold metallic on the white. I hope this inspires you to get some extra use out of your 3D embossing folders. Thank you guys so much for joining me, and I will catch you on the next video. Bye.